The Complete Works of William Shakespeare by William Shakespeare. Act 4. Scene I, Rome. Before a gate of the city. Enter Coriolanus, Volumnia, Virgilia, Menenius, Cominius, with the young nobility of Rome. Coriolanus. Come, leave your tears, a brief farewell. The beast with many heads butts me away. Nay, mother, where is your ancient courage? You were us to say extremities was the trier of spirits, that common chances common men could bear, that when the sea was calm all boats alike showed mastership in floating, fortune's blows, when most struck home, being gentle wounded craves a noble cunning. You were us to load me with precepts that would make invincible the heart that conned them. Virgilia. O heavens! O heavens! Coriolanus. Nay, I prithee, woman Volumnia. Now the red pestilence strike all trades in Rome, and occupations perish. Coriolanus. What? I shall be loved when I am lacked. Nay, mother, resume that spirit when you were wont to say, if you had been the wife of Hercules, 6 of his labors you'd have done, and saved your husband so much sweat. Cominius, droop not, adieu. Farewell, my wife, my mother. I'll do well yet. Thou old and true Menenius, thy tears are salter than a younger man's and venomous to thine eyes. My sometime general, I have seen thee stern, and thou hast oft beheld heart-hardening spectacles. Tell these sad women 'tis fond to wail inevitable strokes, as 'tis to laugh at 'em. My mother, you wot well my hazards still have been your solace, and believe not lightly though I go alone, like to a lonely dragon, that his fin makes feared and talked of more than seen your son will or exceed the common or be caught with cautelous baits and practice. Volumnia. My first son, whither wilt thou go? Take good Cominius with thee awhile. Determine on some course more than a wild exposture to each chance that starts ith way before thee. Virgilia. O the gods! Cominius. I'll follow thee a month. Devise with the where thou shalt rest, that thou mayst hear of us, and we of thee. So, if the time thrusts forth a cause for thy repeal, we shall not send o'er the vast world to seek a single man, and lose advantage, which doth ever cool ith absence of the needer. Coriolanus. Fare you well, thou hast years upon thee, and thou art too full of the war's surfeits to go rove with one that's yet unbruised. Bring me but out at gate. Come, my sweet wife, my dearest mother, and my friends of noble touch, when I am forth, bid me farewell, and smile. I pray you come. While I remain above the ground you shall hear from me still, and never of me aught but what is like me formerly. Menenius. That's worthily as any ear can hear. Come, let's not weep. If I could shake off but 7 years from these old arms and legs, by the good gods, I'd with thee every foot. Coriolanus. Give me thy hand. Come. Extant Scene 2. Rome. A street near the gate enter the 2 tribunes, Sicinius and Brutus with the aedile Sicinius. Bid them all home, he's gone, and we'll no further. The nobility are vexed, whom we see have sided in his behalf. Brutus. Now we have shown our power, let us seem humbler after it is done than when it was doing. Sicinius. Bid them home. Say their great enemy is gone, and they stand in their ancient strength. Brutus. Dismiss them home. Exit aedile, here comes his mother. Enter Volumnia, Virgilia, and Menenius Sicinius. Let's not meet her. Brutus. Why? Sicinius. They say she's mad. Brutus. They have ta'en note of us, keep on your way. Volumnia. Oh, y'are well met, hoarded plague, gods requite your love. Menenius. Peace, be not so loud. Volumnia. If that I could for weeping, you should hear nay, and you shall hear some. To Brutus, will you be gone? Virgilia. To Sicinius, you shall stay too. I would I had the power to say so to my husband. Sicinius. Are you mankind? Volumnia. Ay, fool, is that a shame? Note but this, fool, was not a man my father? Hadst thou foxship to banish him that struck more blows for Rome than thou hast spoken words? Sicinius. O blessed heavens! Volumnia. More noble blows than ever thou wise words, and for Rome's good. I'll tell thee what yet go. Nay, but thou shalt stay too. I would my son were in Arabia, and I tried before him, his good sword in his hand. Sicinius. What then? Virgilia. What then? He make an end of thy posterity. Volumnia. Bastards and all. Good man, the wounds that he does bear for Rome. Menenius. Come, peace. Sicinius. I would he had continued to his country as he began, and not unknit himself the noble knot he made. Brutus. I would he had. Volumnia. I would he had. 'Twas you incensed the rabble cats that can judge as fitly of his worth as I can of those mysteries which heaven will not have earth to know. Brutus. Pray, let's go. Volumnia. Now, pray, sir, get you gone, you have done a brave deed. Ere you go, hear this, as far as doth the Capitol exceed the meanest house in Rome, so far my son this lady's husband here, this, do you see, whom you have banished does exceed you in. Brutus. Well, we'll leave you. Sicinius. Why est? Why we to be baited with one that wants her wits? Exeunt tribunes Volumnia. Take my prayers with you. I would the gods had nothing else to do but to confirm my curses. Could I meet em but once a day, it would unclog my heart of what lies heavy to. Menenius. You have told them home, and by my troth you have cause. You'll sup with me? Volumnia. Anger's my meat, I sup upon myself, and so shall starve with feeding. Come, let's go. Leave this faint puling and lament as I do, in anger, Juno-like. Come. Exeunt Volumnia and Virgilia Menenius. Fie. Exit Scene 3. A highway between Rome and Antium. Enter a Roman and a valse, meeting Roman. I know you well, sir, and you know me. Your name, I think, is Adrian. Valse. It is so, sir. Truly, I have forgot you. Roman. I am a Roman, and my services are, as you are, against them. Know you me yet? Valse. Nicanor? No. Roman. The same, sir. Valse. You had more beard when I last saw you, but your favor is well appeared by your tongue. What's the news in Rome? I have a note from the Volscian state, to find you out there. You have well saved me a day's journey. Roman. There hath been in Rome strange insurrections, the people against the senators, patricians, and nobles. Valse. Hath been. Is it ended then? Our state thinks not so. They are in a most warlike preparation, and hope to come upon them in the heat of their division. Roman. The main blaze of it is past, but a small thing would make it flame again, for the nobles receive so to heart the banishment of that worthy Coriolanus that they are in a ripe aptness to take all power from the people, and to pluck from them their tribunes forever. This lies glowing, I can tell you, and is almost mature for the violent breaking out. Valse. Coriolanus banished. Roman. Banished, sir. Valse. You will be welcome with this intelligence, Nicanor. Roman. The day serves well for them now. I have heard it said the fittest time to corrupt a man's wife is when she's fallen out with her husband. Your noble Tullus Aufidius will appear well in these wars, his great opposer, Coriolanus, being now in no request of his country. Valse. He cannot choose. I am most fortunate thus accidentally to encounter you. You have ended my business, and I will merrily accompany you home. Roman. I shall between this and supper tell you most strange things from Rome, all tending to the good of their adversaries. Have you an army ready, say you? Valse. A most royal one, the centurions and their charges, distinctly billeted, already in th entertainment, and to be on foot at an hour's warning. Roman. I am joyful to hear of their readiness, and am the man, I think, that shall set them in present action. So, sir, heartily well met, and most glad of your company. Vols. You take my part from me, sir. I have the most cause to be glad of yours. Roman. Well, let us go together. Scene 4. Antium. Before Aufidius' house enter Coriolanus, in mean apparel, disquised and muffled Coriolanus. A goodly city is this Antium. City, 'tis I that made thy widows, many an heir of these fair edifices for my wars have I heard groan and drop. Then know me not. Lest that thy wives with spits and boys with stones, in puny battle slay me. Enter a citizen save you, sir. Citizen. And you, Coriolanus. Direct me, if it be your will, where great Aufidius lies. Is he in Antium? Citizen. He is, and feasts the nobles of the state at his house this night. Coriolanus. Which is his house, beseech you? Citizen. This here before you. Coriolanus. Thank you, sir, farewell. Exit, citizen. O world, thy slippery turns. Friends now fast sworn, whose double bosom seems to wear one heart, whose hours, whose bed, whose meal and exercise are still together, who twin, as 'twere, in love, unseparable, shall within this hour, on a dissension of a doit, break out to bitterest enmity, so fellows foes, whose passions and whose plots have broke their sleep to take the one the other, by some chance, some trick not worth an egg, shall grow dear friends and interjoin their issues. So with me, my birthplace hate I, and my love's upon this enemy town. I'll enter. If he slay me, he does fair justice, if he give me way, I'll do his country service. Scene V. Antium. Aufidius' house music plays. Enter a serving man, first servant. Wine, wine, wine! What service is here? I think our fellows are asleep. Exit, enter another serving man, second servant. Where's Codus? My master calls for him. Codus! Exit, enter Coriolanus. Coriolanus. A goodly house. The feast smells well, but I appear not like a guest. Re-enter the first serving man, first servant. What would you have, friend? Whence are you? Here's no place for you, pray go to the door. Exit Coriolanus. I have deserved no better entertainment in being Coriolanus. Re-enter second serving man, second servant. Whence are you, sir? Has the porter his eyes in his head that he gives entrance to such companions? Pray get you out. Coriolanus. Away! Second servant. Away? Eat you away. Coriolanus. Now thr troublesome. Second servant. Are you so brave? I'll have you talked with anon. Enter a third serving man. The first meets him, third servant. What fellow's this? First servant. A strange one as ever I looked on. I cannot get him out oth house. Prithee call my master to him. Third servant. What have you to do here, fellow? Pray you avoid the house. Coriolanus. Let me but stand, I will not hurt your hearth. Third servant. What are you? Coriolanus. A gentleman. Third servant. A marvelous poor one. Coriolanus. True, so I am. Third servant. Pray you, poor gentleman, take up some other station, here's no place for you. Pray you avoid. Come. Coriolanus. Follow your function, go and batten on cold bits. Pushes him away from him, third servant. What, you will not? Prithee tell my master what a strange guest he has here. Second servant. And I shall. Exit third servant. Where dwellst thou? Coriolanus. Under the canopy. Third servant. Under the canopy? Coriolanus. Aye. Third servant. Where's that? Coriolanus. Ith city of kites and crows. Third servant. city of kites and crows. What an ass it is! Then thou dwellst with daws too? Coriolanus. No, I serve not thy master. Third servant. How, sir? Do you meddle with my master? Coriolanus. Aye, 'tis an honester service than to meddle with thy mistress. Thou prat'st and prat'st, serve with thy trencher, hence. Beats him away, enter Aufidius with the second serving man Aufidius. Where is this fellow? Second servant. Here, sir, I'd have beaten him like a dog, but for disturbing the lords within. Aufidius. Whence comest thou? What wouldst thou? Thy name? Why speak'st not? Speak, man. What's thy name? Coriolanus. Unmuffling, if, Tullus, not yet thou know'st me, and seeing me, dost not think me for the man I am, necessity commands me name myself. Aufidius. What is thy name? Coriolanus. A name unmusical to the Volscians' ears, and harsh in sound to thine. Aufidius. Say, what's thy name? Thou hast a grim appearance, and thy face bears a commandant, though thy tackle's torn, thou show'st a noble vessel. What's thy name? Coriolanus. Prepare thy brow to frown, know'st thou me yet? Aufidius. I know thee not. Thy name? Coriolanus. My name is Caius Marcius, who hath done to thee particularly, and to all the Volsces, great hurt and mischief. Thereto witness may my surname, Coriolanus. The painful service, the extreme dangers, and the drops of blood shed for my thankless country, are requited but with that surname a good memory and witness of the malice and displeasure which thou shouldst bear me. Only that name remains, the cruelty and envy of the people, permitted by our dastard nobles, who have all forsook me, hath devoured the rest, and suffered me by voice of slaves to be whooped out of Rome. Now this extremity hath brought me to thy hearth, not out of hope, mistake me not, to save my life, for if I had feared death, of all the men world I would have voided thee, but in mere spite, to be full quit of those my banishers, stand I before thee here. Then if thou hast a heart of wreak in thee, that wilt revenge thine own particular wrongs and stop those maims of shame seen through thy country, speed thee straight and make my misery serve thy turn. So use it that my revengeful services may prove as benefits to thee, for I will fight against my cankred country with the spleen of all the underfiends. But if so be thou darest not this, and that to prove more fortunes art tiered, then, in a word, I also am longer to live most weary, and present my throat to thee and to thy ancient malice, which not to cut would show thee but a fool, since I have ever followed thee with hate, drawn tons of blood out of thy country's breast, and cannot live but to thy shame, unless it be to do thee service. Aufidius. O Marcius, Marcius! Each word thou hast spoke hath weeded from my heart a root of ancient envy. If Jupiter should from yon clouds speak divine things, and say 'tis true, I'd not believe them more than thee, all noble Marcius. Let me twine mine arms about that body, where against my grained ash 100 times hath broke and scarred the moon with splinters. Here I clip the anvil of my sword, and do contest as hotly and as nobly with thy love as ever in ambitious strength I did contend against thy valor. Know thou first, I love the maid I married, never man sight truer breath, but that I see thee here, thou noble thing, more dances my rapt heart than when I first my wedded mistress saw bestride my threshold. Why, thou Mars, I tell thee we have a power on foot, and I had purpose once more to hew thy target from thy brawn, or lose mine arm for't. Thou hast beat me out 12 several times, and I have nightly since dreamt of encounters twixt thyself and me. We have been down together in my sleep, unbuckling helms, fisting each other's throat, and whacked half dead with nothing. Worthy Marcius, had we no other quarrel else to Rome but tea? Had thou art then Spanish, we would muster all from 12 to 70, and pouring war into the bowels of ungrateful Rome, like a bold flood o'erbeat. Oh, come, go in, and take our friendly senators by hands, who now are here, taking their leaves of me who am prepared against your territories, though not for Rome itself. Coriolanus. You bless me, gods. Aufidius. Therefore, most absolute sir, if thou wilt have the leading of thine own revenges, take 1/2 of my commission, and set down as best thou art experient, since thou know'st thy country's strength and weakness thine own ways, whether to knock against the gates of Rome, or rudely visit them in parts remote to fright them ere destroy. But come in, let me commend thee first to those that shall say yet to thy desires. 1,000 welcomes, and more a friend than e'er an enemy, yet, Marcius, that was much. Your hand, most welcome. Exeunt Coriolanus and Aufidius, the 2 serving men come forward. First servant. Here's a strange alteration. Second servant. By my hand, I had thought to have strucken him with a cudgel, and yet my mind gave me his clothes made a false report of him. First servant. What an arm he has! He turned me about with his finger and his thumb, as one would set up a top. Second servant. Nay, I knew by his face that there was something in him. He had, sir, a kind of face, methought I cannot tell how to term it. First servant. He had so, looking as it were what I were hanged, but I thought there was more in him than I could think. Second servant. So did I, I'll be sworn. He is simply the rarest man ith world. First servant. I think he is, but a greater soldier than he. What on? Second servant. Who, my master? First servant. Nay, it's no matter for that. Second servant. Worth 6 on him. First servant. Nay, not so either, but I take him to be the greater soldier. Second servant. Faith, look you, one cannot tell how to say that. For the defense of a town our general is excellent. First servant. Aye, and for an assault too. Re-enter the 3rd serving man. Third servant. O slaves, I can tell you news, you rascals. Both. What? Let's partake. Third servant. I would not be a Roman, of all nations, I had as lief be a condemned man. Both. Wherefore? Third servant. Why, here's he that was wont to thwack our general Caius Marcius. First servant. Why do you say thwack our general? Third servant. I do not say thwack our general, but he was always good enough for him. Second servant. Come, we are fellows and friends. He was ever too hard for him, I have heard him say so himself. First servant. He was too hard for him directly, to say the troth on't. Before Corioli he scotched him and notched him like a carbonado. Second servant. And he had been cannibally given, he might have broiled and eaten him too. First servant. But more of thy news. Third servant. Why, he is so made on here within as if he were son and heir to Mars, set at upper end OTH table. No question asked him by any of the senators, but they stand bald before him. Our general himself makes a mistress of him, sanctifies himself with hand, and turns up the white OTHI to his discourse. But the bottom of the news is, our general is cut ith middle and but 1/2 of what he was yesterday, for the other has half by the entreaty and grant of the whole table. He'll go, he says, and sell the porter of Rome gates by years. He will mow all down before him, and leave his passage pulled. Second servant. And he's as like to do't as any man I can imagine. Third servant. Do't. He will do't, for look you, sir, he has as many friends as enemies, which friends, sir, as it were, durst not look you, sir, show themselves, as we term it, his friends, whilst he's in directitude. First servant. Directitude? What's that? Third servant. But when they shall see, sir, his crest up again and the man in blood, they will out of their burrows, like conies after rain, and revel and with him. First servant. But when goes this forward? Third servant. Tomorrow, today, presently. You shall have the drums struck up this afternoon. 'Tis as it were parcel of their feast, and to be executed ere they wipe their lips. Second Servant. Why, then we shall have a stirring world again. This peace is nothing but to rust iron, increase tailors, and breed ballad makers. First Servant. Let me have war, say I. It exceeds peace as far as day does night. It's sprightly, waking, audible, and full of vent. Peace is a very apoplexy, lethargy, mulled, deaf, sleepy, insensible, a getter of more bastard children than war's a destroyer of men. Second Servant. 'Tis so, and as war in some sort may be said to be a ravisher, so it cannot be denied but peace is a great maker of cuckolds. First Servant. Aye, and it makes men hate one another. Third Servant. Reason, because they then less need one another. The war's for my money. I hope to see Romans as cheap as Volscians. They are rising, they are rising. Both. In. Extant Scene 6. Rome. A public place enter the two tribunes, Sicinius and Brutus Sicinius. We hear not of him, either need we fear him. His remedies are tame. The present peace and quietness of the people, which before were in wild hurry, here do make his friends blush that the world goes well, who rather had, though they themselves did suffer by, behold the sentious numbers pestering streets, than see our tradesmen singing in their shops, and going about their functions friendly. Enter Menenius Brutus. We stood 'tit in good time. Is this Menenius? Sicinius. 'Tis he. Oh, he is grown most kind of late. Hail, sir! Menenius. Hail to you both. Sicinius. Your Coriolanus is not much missed but with his friends. The Commonwealth doth stand, and so would do, were he more angry at it. Menenius. All's well, and might have been much better he could have temporized. Sicinius. Where is he, hear you? Menenius. Nay, I hear nothing. His mother and his wife hear nothing from him. Enter 3 or 4 citizens. The gods preserve you both. Sicinius. God den our neighbors. Brutus. God den to you all, God den to you and. First Citizen. Ourselves, our wives, and children, on our knees are bound to pray for you both. Sicinius. Live and thrive. Brutus. Farewell, kind neighbors, we wish Coriolanus had loved you as we did. Citizens. Now the gods keep you. Both tribunes. Farewell. Exeunt Citizen Sicinius. This is a happier and more comely time than when these fellows ran about the streets crying confusion. Brutus. Caius Marcius was a worthy officer I the war, but insolent, o'ercome with pride, ambitious past all thinking, self-loving Sicinius. And affecting one sole throne, without assistance. Menenius. I think not so. Sicinius. We should by this, to all our lamentation, if he had gone forth consul, found it so. Brutus. The gods have well prevented it, and Rome sits safe and still without him. Enter an edile. Worthy tribunes, there is a slave, whom we have put in prison, reports the valses with several powers are enread in the Roman territories, and with the deepest malice of the war destroy what lies before him. Menenius. 'Tis Aufidius, who, hearing of our Marcius' banishment, thrusts forth his horns again into the world, which were inshelled when Marcius stood for Rome, and durst not once peep out. Sicinius. Come, what talk you of Marcius? Brutus. Go see this rumor whipped. It cannot be the valses dare break with us. Menenius. Cannot be. We have record that very well it can, and 3 examples of the like hath been within my age. But reason with the fellow before you punish him, where he heard this, lest you shall chance to whip your information and beat the messenger who bids beware of what is to be dreaded. Sicinius. Tell not me. I know this cannot be. Brutus. Not possible. Enter a messenger. The nobles in great earnestness are going all to the Senate house. Some news is come that turns their countenances. Sicinius. Does this slave go whip him for the people's eyes is raising, nothing but his report. Messenger. Yes, worthy sir, the slave's report is seconded, and more fearful, is delivered. Sicinius. What more fearful? Messenger. It is spoke freely out of many mouths how probable I do not know that Marcius, joined with Aufidius, leads a power against Rome, and vows revenge as spacious as between the youngst and oldest thing. Sicinius. This is most likely. Brutus. Rise only that the weaker sort may wish good Marcius home again. Sicinius. The very trick on tea. Menenius. This is unlikely. He and Aufidius can no more atone than violence contrariety. Enter a second messenger. You are sent for to the Senate. A fearful army, led by Caius Marcius associated with Aufidius, rages upon our territories, and have already o'erborne their way, consumed with fire and took what lay before them. Enter Cominius. Oh, you have made good work. Menenius. What news? Cominius. You have hoped to ravish your own daughters and to melt the city leads upon your pates, to see your wives dishonored to your noses. Menenius. What's the news? Cominius. Your temples burned in their cement, and your franchises, whereon you stood, confined into an augur's bore. Menenius. Pray now your news? You have made fair work, I fear me. Pray your news. If Marcius should be joined YTH Volscians Cominius. If he is their god, he leads them like a thing made by some other deity than nature, that shapes man better, and they follow him against us brats with no less confidence than boys pursuing summer butterflies, or butchers killing flies. Menenius. You have made good work, you and your apron men, you that stood so much upon the voice of occupation and the breath of garlic eaters. Cominius. He'll shake your Rome about your ears. Menenius. As Hercules did shake down mellow fruit. You have made fair work. Brutus. Boo. Is this true, sir? Cominius. Aye, and you'll look pale before you find it other. All the regions do smilingly revolt, and who resists are mocked for valiant ignorance, and perish constant fools. Who can blame him? Your enemies and his find something in him. Menenius. We are all undone unless the noble man have mercy. Cominius. Who shall ask it? The tribunes cannot do't for shame. The people deserve such pity of him as the wolf does of the shepherds. For his best friends, if they should say be good to Rome, they charged him even as those should do that had deserved his hate, and therein showed fike enemies. Menenius. 'Tis true, if you were putting to my house the brand that should consume it, I have not the face to say beseech you cease. You have made fair hands, you and your crafts. You have crafted fair. Cominius. You have brought a trembling upon Rome, such as was never incapable of help. Both tribunes. Say not we brought it. Menenius. How? Was we? We loved him, but like beasts and cowardly nobles, gave way unto your clusters, who did hoot him out OTH city. Cominius. But I fear they'll roar him in again. Tullus Aufidius, the second name of men, obeys his points as if he were his officer. Desperation is all the policy, strength, and defense that Rome can make against them. Enter a troop of citizens. Menenius. Here comes the clusters. And is Aufidius with him? You are they that made the air unwholesome when you cast your stinking greasy caps and hooting at Coriolanus' exile. Now he's coming, and not a hair upon a soldier's head which will not prove a whip. As many coxcombs as you threw caps up will he tumble down, and pay you for your voices. 'Tis no matter, if he could burn us all into one coal we have deserved it. Plebeians. Faith, we hear fearful news. First Citizen. For mine own part, when I said banish him, I said 'twas pity. Second Citizen. And so did I. Third Citizen. And so did I, and, to say the truth, so did very many of us. That we did for the best, and though we willingly consented to his banishment, yet it was against our will. Cominius. Ye are goodly things, you voices. Menenius. You have made good work, you and your cry. Shouts to the Capitol? Cominius. Oh, aye, what else? Exeunt Cominius and Menenius Sicinius. Go, masters, get you be not dismayed. These are a side that would be glad to have this true which they so seem to fear. Go home, and show no sign of fear. First Citizen. The gods be good to us. Come, masters, let's home. I ever said we were wrong when we banished him. Second Citizen. So did we all. But come, let's home. Exeunt Citizens Brutus. I do not like this news. Sicinius. Nor I. Brutus. Let's to the Capitol. Would half my wealth would buy this for a lie. Sicinius. Pray let's go. Exeunt Scene 7. A camp at a short distance from Rome. Enter Aufidius with his lieutenant Aufidius. Do they still fly to Roman? Lieutenant. I do not know what witchcraft's in him, but your soldiers use him as the grace for meat, their talk at table, and their thanks at end, and you are dark Ned in this action, sir, even by your own. Aufidius. I cannot help it now, unless by using means I lame the foot of our design. He bears himself more proudlier, even to my person, than I thought he would when first I did embrace him, yet his nature and that's no changeling, and I must excuse what cannot be amended. Lieutenant. Yet I wish, sir, I mean, for your particular you had not joined in commission with him, but either had borne the action of yourself, or else to him had left it solely. Aufidius. I understand thee well, and be thou sure, when he shall come to his account, he knows not what I can urge against him. Although it seems, and so he thinks, and is no less apparent to vulgar eye, that he bears all things fairly, and shows good husbandry for the Volscian state, fights dragon-like, and does achieve as soon as draw his sword, yet he hath left undone that which shall break his neck or hazard mine whene'er we come to our account. Lieutenant. Sir, I beseech you, think you he'll carry Rome? Aufidius. All places yield to him ere he sits down, and the nobility of Rome are his. The senators and patricians love him too. The tribunes are no soldiers, and their people will be as rash in the repeal as hasty to expel him thence. I think he'll be to Rome as is the osprey to the fish, who takes it by sovereignty of nature. First he was a noble servant to them, but he could not carry his honors even. Whether 'twas pride, which out of daily fortune ever taints the happy man, whether defect of judgment, to fail in the disposing of those chances which he was lord of, or whether nature, not to be other than one thing, not moving from cast to cushion, but commanding peace even with the same austerity and garb as he controlled the war, but one of these as he hath spices of them all not all. For I dare so far free him made him feared, so hated, and so banished. But he has a mare. It to choke it in the upprance. So our virtues lie in interpretation of the time, and power, unto itself most commendable, hath not a tomb so evident as a chair to extol what it hath done. One fire drives out one fire, one nail, rights by rights falter, strengths by strengths do fail. Come, let's away. When, Caius, Rome is thine, thou art poorest of all, then shortly art thou mine. Exeunt.